Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is a January 18th, 2015. Christina Basanakis, joined by Ron Nicoletti. What a huge weekend. We've had spectacular weather. The racing, spectacular. Yesterday was Sunshine Millions Day, and also the Eclipse Awards last night.
As we said yesterday, sunshine has been the theme all weekend long.
Yep.
Another fantastic day here. So we're going to deal with a fast main track. We got a firm turf course. Hold on to your hats. We got a $150,000 jackpot guarantee in the Rainbow Six today. It starts in race number 6 with an 11-race card. Sixth race to the 11th race to that. But we're not done because we also have a $50,000 guarantee pool both Saturday and Sundays today in the Pick 5 and a $100,000 guarantee in the late Pick 4 both yesterday and today throughout the month of January. And I'm thinking they're probably going to extend it, but that's just a guess on my part. Also want to ride a Monday special day racing. We'll be back here tomorrow. 11 race card, first race, 12:40 p.m.
So the fun is going to continue through tomorrow. And as we said, the Eclipse Awards last night. Horse of the Year was California Chrome, winner of the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. Some contentious categories, Ron, and some a little bit more formful. Turf horse, main sequence. Horse that we're likely going to be seeing down here. That is main sequence from the Graham Motion Barn. Todd Pletcher. He was the leading outstanding trainer. He's another guy we know very well down here. And Ken and Sarah Ramsey, owners and breeders, they were the leading owners.
And they were our leading owners and trainers here last year and the year before at Gulfstream Park, I believe. So just continues, and they got the Eclipse Award. Congratulations to all the winners. It was a fun night, and I hope you got to watch it on HRTV. Unless you were lucky enough to get a ticket and be in the thing last night, it was a lot of fun. And our boy Larry Comas always does a great job. He is the voice of God. You don't see him, but he's there talking.
He sure does. And we will, before we move on to today's card, Ron, let's just take a quick look back at the Sunshine Millions. And we'll start off with the Classic and an upset. There were horses. I think most of us were arguing about 3 horses in here. East Hall, Wildcat Red. I had Transparent. We were all going in different directions. And who landed the big one? Senor Quisqueyano, now in the barn of Peter Walder, and he's done a great job with him. Yeah,
he's done a great job with him. He looks good, but they had the race set up perfectly. There was a suicide duel early with Wildcat Red on the lead, and he just backed up, set it up for the horse. But more importantly, it's a great ride by Ed Garzayas, who just, took him a little bit out. It was just race riding there and got the job done. And Sir Quisqueyano always thought this horse was going to be a real good horse. It took time. He was good early. Then he went on a little bit of a losing streak, and now he's coming back. Peter Walder always does a great job. And he had a great quote, Peter Walder. He said, I'm always used to looking on the board and seeing my horses, 4 to 5, 2 to 5 to 2. Finally, I get one that's 20 to 1.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a great day for Peter Walder. Great job, and congratulations to those connections. And also, there was a horse that I know you were very high on going into the race. You loved this horse in the turf, the Sunshine Millions turf yesterday, Manchurian High. Let's take a look back at that race, Ron. And you were spot on with this because this wasn't even close.
Well, I just saw there was a lot of speed in the race, and this horse had run in 2 races at 1.5 miles. But if you look at its record at this distance, was 4 for 11. So I just thought this race was setting up perfectly for this horse, and there's a great story behind the horse with the trainer and everything like that. So, and won very impressively.
Yeah, very, very impressive. He was actually destined to be a steeplechase horse, and that never materialized, and good thing because he's doing really great things for his connections. So, Ron, let's jump into today's card. We do have a lot of ground to cover. We do have an 11-race card. We'll start off with the first on today's card. Is a 25,000 claiming event. It is 7 furlongs on the main track. My top selection, I went with number 5, and that is Elusive Blue Boy from the Ralph Nix barn. A winner 2 starts back, and that was at Gulfstream. That was back in September. However, last time didn't show a whole lot in the Canterbury, but that was on the turf. Now we're getting back to the dirt, and I think the dirt is this Colts. It looks like his best surface.
Yeah, and she fits the conditions really nicely in here. He fits the conditions really nicely in here. He's won 3 of his 10 career starts. So read the conditions of the race. It's non-winners of 2 in life, or 4-year-olds. So he's a 4-year-old and gets to go in with more wins. But I did go with the number 7 Wildcat Pleasures, turning back to 7/8 of a mile today on the dirt. Now listen, after showing speed and fading, that was against $30,000 2 lifetime claimers going 1 mile on the turf. So you knew I'd jump aboard. Trainer George Navarro, 24% with the surface switch. Jose Lascano in the irons today. Love that speed on the grass, turning back to 7/8. Got your horse in the ticket and also threw in the 3-horse as you did, and that's Alfredo Romana.
I think it's a pretty competitive race. Just the fact that I didn't use your horse at Wildcat Pleasures on my ticket at all, I think it points to the fact that it is pretty competitive, or at least on paper. On to the second race on today's card, and it is a 20,000 claiming event, a mile on the turf course. This kicks off the early pick 4. And we do have a couple scratches, number 5, number 11. My top pick, I went with number 3. And I see you didn't even use number. I love this, Ron, when this happens. We are all over the board in this particular race. So talk about wide open. I went with number 3, Secret Fascination, and really has been... I think in terms of numbers, because I often look at the speed figures and I look at the Thurgraph sheets, she's been pretty consistent without being spectacular. In fact, she's been well beaten in several of her last starts, and that was on the turf. I just think that this is one of those races that there are several horses. Every time I was looking at a particular horse, a direction to go, I was thinking, nah, I'm not. You can really make a case for several horses.
Well, that's apparently what happened
in
here. So I went with the number 6, Forever for Always, stepping up to the next logical level after rallying 5 wide to defeat the $20,000 maidens. Going a mile here on the grass, Jenna Antonucci, Edgar Zayas. Usually don't pick horses that go for maiden right in, try and win their next start and everything like that. But I had a tough time with this race, and I just thought this horse ran the best last race, so I put it on top. I used Princess Romana in second, and number 10, Chica Chapini, the only one we agreed on in the race. This kicks off the early pick 4, so the key here, spread it out.
I was just about the same thing. I think you're going to have to use several because nobody really stands out in that race. On to the third on today's card. It is another 20,000 claiming event, 5 furlongs on the turf course. We have a scratch, and number 11, the Jackal. And my top selection, I went with number 5, and I see that you used it. We have the same horses. They're all kind of mixed up. Number 5, Catalactic, and from the Marcus Vitali barn is dropping from that last start. The 7-year-old gelding. He was running 7.5 furlongs last time at Gulfstream Park. I think, Ron, first of all, the drop in class is going to help. The cutback in distance, I also think that's going to help. And again, he's one that it seems that the distance fits him.
And ridden today by Javier Castellano, who also won the Eclipse Award last night for Best Jockey. So you like the Eclipse Awards? Just come to Gulfstream every day and you'll see all the winners working and racing right here. So I did go with the number 4, Pirate's Vow. This one, a winner of 3 of 5 turf sprints against similar competition during 2014. Dropped after, rushing up to stalk the pace last time out and fading from contention. That was in the $110,000 claiming crown Canterbury. George Navarro, Rafael Hernandez atop this is the White Rabbit Racing Connections, and I just thought this horse is in a logical spot today. You have it on the ticket. We're basically in agreement. You just got to box up our trifecta.
Ron, I think that's really interesting because before the Canterbury, I had a chance to speak to Darren DeLucia, and Darren is an advisor to White Rabbit, and he was telling me they thought he was going to be a big price. They also thought he had a chance. They liked him a little bit going into the race. So big question mark in terms of what happened. So I'm with you. I thought I had to use him because I think he's going to bounce back off of that.
Yeah, I think so too. I just thought it was over his head. He went up there and he rushed up, and maybe it was just too much for that day.
On to the fourth race on today's card, and it's 62.50 claiming test. It is a mile on the main track. We do have one jockey changed. Number 3, 3Bs, will be ridden by Luis Contreras. And number 8 was my top pick. I went with Run Gia Run Kirk Zadie, dropping from 20,000 from the 20,000 level now down to 62.5. So it'll be interesting, Ron. She has shown that she can win at the distance. She does have a couple of victories already. The barn super hot. They're hitting at over 30%. And again, last time, 7.5 furlongs. I think the mile should suit.
I did not put him on top, but I got to read you the stat from Kirk Zadie. He's a whopping 8 for 15. 53% with horses going from the grass to dirt. I get a kick out of reading all the statistics here. And I went with the number 8 in here, 6, excuse me, Sylvia's Given Angel. This one moved to the Rowan Dixon Bonvita claim after coming within a nose as the favorite of defeating 6,253 lifetime claimers at the distance. Once again, we have the same 3 horses just flip-flopped around. I wouldn't be surprised if the 8 won the 6 won, or even the 5, a lady from Havana, is stretching out to this, mile distance today. It looks like a horse that fits with this level of competition.
I think so. onto the fifth race on the card, and we do have a 6250 claiming 6 furlongs on the main track. We do have a scratch. Number 3, Mr. Tiger, is out. And Ron, we do have a jockey change. Number 6, Ararat, will be ridden by Corey Lannery, and my top pick, I went with number 7, and I see it's a horse you use, and again, all over the board. Your top pick, I don't even have among my selections, and that's a Big Grandpa was my pick. Edgar Zayas, who you mentioned, hasn't raced since October, but you were giving those stats, Kirk Zadie. Again, we can go on and on. He's very good, not only with his first-time claim, because he did claim him back in October, and also, but coming back a layoff, that's not a big concern for me.
Yeah, no, he belongs on the ticket. I'll tell you what, I did go with the number 2, and that's Fantasmo Rico. This one is making his first start since encountering a little bit of trouble at the start. He was bumped. Then he rushes up and chases the pace. He weakens to finish 4th, but that's against multiple winners in a 6250 claimer at Gulfstream Park West. It was back on November 15. The trainer's Efren Loza Jr., and he's pretty good. He's 31% with the 61 to 180 day layoff, and I think this horse against multiple winners, I like to drop back to condition claiming races. Condition claiming races mean 3 lifetime or a race in 6 months. Those horses are not as, as astute as the horses that win multiple races.
Ron, on that note, we're going to take a short break, folks, and we'll come back and have a look at the 6th race on today's card, which kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow 6.
Gulfstream Park is one of Florida's top entertainment destinations, mixing restaurants, clubs, a casino, and international boutique shops with world-class racing. In a lavish, sun-drenched setting with the feel of a Mediterranean village, Gulfstream is a leading year-round entertainment and tourist destination and the home of luxury residences in 2014. The Stronach family, owners of Gulfstream Park, is committed to the sport of thoroughbred racing and the grace, spirit, and generosity of the horse.
The Rainbow 6 is back, and it's better than ever. Now with a 20-cent base wager, it will expand the market for the popular wager. And in addition to doubling the base wager, the percentage return to the winners on the days the jackpot isn't hit is increased to 70%, with 30% going to the carryover pool for the next program. Gulfstream Park, first post, 1240 each and every day.
Welcome back to
Gulfstream. Stop making me laugh.
I know, yeah. Everybody knows Ron. Everybody around these parts know better than that. But we do kick off the Rainbow 6 today in the 6th race, and that is 6250. Now, Ron, Rainbow 6, there's 150,000 guarantee.
Guarantee in the jackpot pool. So if you're lucky enough to have that one unique ticket, the one ticket alone with the all 6 winners, you would take down the $150,000 jackpot guarantee today. So good luck with it. They had some horses that, Gomez hit it yesterday. It was 5 out of 6. There was a lot of long shots, but they're still close to it. It's amazing to me. There were 6 horses alive for the whole jackpot yesterday, and that was after a couple of long shots, one of them being in the Classic there with Sir Kisciano. So a great bet. And good luck today with that. With that said, every time we have the Rainbow 6, the first start, we always agree with our top 2 horses in here. So once again, I went with the 12 Pearl of a Girl, dropping to the $6,250 level after facing, I thought, considerably tougher with some success. 6 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds. That was during 2014. The big concern, as always, is the outside post.
Sure, and then we do have a scratch in there. That's number 5, Jesse Kenmambo, and a jockey change. Number 11, Ginebra, is Luca Bonici. I know that you love saying that. So I also threw in if Skippy is back as you and I also had number 1 Tomei. I see you didn't include this 4-year-old filly. Last time really didn't show a whole lot. I think 2 starts back, a pretty impressive or a solid winner on December 21st. So I'm hoping I just threw her into the mix. So Ron, how deep are we going to go in there?
We're going to go pretty deep in here. The other horse that I threw him into, I wanted to put the 1 in, I just couldn't do it, and I went with the 2 Sweet Cup. But this one is now in the Steve DeMauro barn. When it ran, it was really good. Won 3 of 6 races, but it was in 2013. It was on the Woodbine Poly track, so lots of unknowns, and your guess is as good as mine. You got to watch the board. Lucky it's in the 6th race, the first leg of the thing. If it's taking some money, I would suggest throw it on your ticket, because Guy looks like he can run, but it hasn't been around in a while.
Yeah,
she hasn't been around in a while.
Always something to look for. On to the 7th race on today's card. It is a maiden special weight. It is for the 3-year-old ladies. A mile and a 16th on the main track. And now this kicks off the pick 5. This race, you know, these are my bread and butter. These newly turned 3-year-olds. I went with number 7, and that's a confrontational, very appropriately named for Miss Christina Bosanakis here. John Velasquez gets aboard a nose second last time, Ron. Behind, I think, a pretty nice horse. Now, she had a bit of a break in her training November to December, but she's had several works back-to-back. I like to see that, especially from the Todd Fletcher barn. You see a couple of nice works. Pedigree-wise, she's by Majestic Warrior, and Todd's done really well with Majestic Warrior and Princess of Silmar. That was one of his most famous trainees, and actually she's probably the best by the stallion, but he's still a young stallion. So I think this is one of the obvious ones.
Yeah, you know, I watched this horse run at Gulfstream Park West when it got beat that nose, and I was impressed with this horse, and I was waiting for it to come back, and that's what's happened today. I went with the number 6 horse in here, Sweet Corinne, in second. This was a half-sister to $1.6 million earner Verrazano, and a full sister to El Padrino, a Grade 2 winner, and stealing a little bit of Christina's thunder. She usually tells you that. Making the first trip around 2 turns after finishing a workman-like 5th in her 6.5 furlong career debut at Aqueduct on November 29th. Shug McGahee has it training forwardly. Boy, what breeding.
And I was a huge fan of Verrazano, who is now standing at Coolmore. So I'm a big fan, and also the pedigree would suggest that she should be able to go around a ground. I also used a number 2, and that's a Miss Pink Diva. Buff Bradley trains this one. She's done very little. She's always in the mix. She's in the money. I thought that I had to include her. She's a daughter of Dunkirk, winner, or second in the Belmont, excuse me. And last time was on the turf. She gets back to the dirt. I think that's probably where her home is going to be. And number 8, True History, Michael Matz. I used her. She made a strong middle move last time, Ron. She finished second behind a horse named Eskin for Money. Eskin for Money just came back and won here the other day.
Yeah, very impressively too.
Right?
And I had to convince everyone to try and bet that. It was paid 5-1 that day. Very impressive performance, and you know, just a great race. What a great race to start the pick 5 off.
I like it too.
It's just great. Lots of breeding, lots of good trainers and jockeys and everything like that. So we're not making it easy here, folks.
On to the 8th race, and speaking of not making it easy, the 8th race kicks off at the late pick 4, and we do have scratches of the also eligibles 15 and 16. My top pick, I went with Bugle. Bugle, $400,000 at Keeneland, September. This is a filly by Warfront. Very, very hot sire in 2014. He's a young stallion. He's got so much, you could just see him internationally. He's been doing so well. And this filly, 2 second-place efforts. Let's take a look at her latest race, Ron. I like this filly. I think she's very nice. Now she's going to
see that one that says Giant Crystal. That's my pick.
You know, and I love actually. This is why I wanted to show the replay, because you'll see one of the fillies, a Bugle. She's coming from the inside, and then the big striding, long striding filly that you're talking about, Giant Crystal. She's the 8. She's on the outside, and she's just swallowing up ground as she's coming along. And our filly there, my filly, Bugle, the filly I went with, she was in a little bit tight quarters, but she came in like a champ, like a pro. So this is going to be an interesting race.
Yeah, she just got nipped at the wire, but I did go with the number 9, Giant Crystal, for all the reasons you mentioned. She's a half to Wood Memorial winner, gemologist, stretching out to 9 furlongs after that. A strong late rally produced a 3rd place finish, beating the neck, as you saw on there. So Bugle, I got to have on the ticket. You got to have these 2 horses on your ticket, and I closed it out with the number 6 in there, and that is a cover-up. Who's getting Lasix today. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty competitive race. And I also threw on my ticket Sierra Olivia underneath. She's got a nice turf breeding, actually. She's a half-sibling to Hudson Steele, who was a graded stakes winner on the grass. So interesting to see the result of that one. On to the 9th race on today's card. It is a 20,000 claiming test, a mile and a 16th on the turf course. We do have, actually, Ron, first time this has happened today, we're totally in agreement. Totally in agreement, and we want to show you a video of why we're in total agreement in this race, aren't we? No. No? No, we're not. Oh, it's the next race. No, but let me tell you something. My reasoning for using Izzy It
is going to be just a lot has to do with the company that she's been keeping very competitive. That last one, the Tiara, now that was a tough spot.
Exactly.
And if you throw that race out, she did show speed early, and then she kind of withered out late. But before that, Ron, when she's in the right spot, she's been very competitive.
Yeah, and she's on the inside. She got Joe Bravo. She's the inside speed in there, and I like her a lot. I also went with the 10 Starship Shanti in second and 11 Summertime Music in third, and we're in total agreement here. So you can just put those 3 on your ticket, and you should be all right. Yeah, right. This is the one we have the video in.
Yes,
this is. Now, I wrote it on the wrong
Ron
way.
was he's ahead of the game always. We go to the 10th race on the card, and his allowance, and it is a 1.16 on the turf course. And Ron, my top pick, I went with Sky Painter, and this is a daughter of Street Cry, the mare Skylighter. She was a graded stakes winner, albeit on the dirt. However, Street Cry very, very good with his turf runners. I just look at the horses she's been running against previously. If you look at her a 2-year-old form, she finished second behind a horse named Testa Rossi. Testa Rossi came back. She finished second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf behind Curcilium, and she's just had some good form. Now, lately, her last start, November, didn't show a whole lot. Kieran McLaughlin, he can have them right off the layoff. You went in a different direction, Ron.
I went with the 8, I Am Now.
I Am Now. And let's take a look at I Am Now in her latest race. That's from the Todd Pletcher barn. John Velasquez gets aboard. Ron, pretty good effort for her. She was only beaten the length.
You see her getting a little trouble there at the quarter pole. You know, she just seemed to get a little behind. It was a pretty good performance in that race.
Yeah, I thought so too, and I used her. I didn't put her on top, and I also used number 3, and that's Market Magic. I think I Am Now from a number standpoint, she's going to be the one that you're going to have to include. Market Magic is another one from the Bill Mott barn, and she was from a wide post last time. That was on December 6th. Now, she was coming off of a pretty significant
layoff. About 10 months, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Here's another guy, Bill Mott, who I love off the layoff, and she's well related too. She's a half to a nice graded stakes winner, X Factor. So, very competitive race.
Yeah, I got the 3 on there, and I did. You know, we're basic. We got one horse that's different in there. So these last couple of races are a little more formful than the early ones, and so that's why you got to go deeper in your Rainbow Six in the early part. Maybe you can, whittle down some of these horses in here.
On to the 11th and final race, Ron, on the card. It is a $75,000 maiden claiming event, 7.5 furlongs on the turf, and we do have a couple of scratches. Number 8 and number 14, jockey change. Number 6, Super CME, is Leandro Goncalves, and my top pick, I went with number 9, and we're in agreement here again. Amazon King from the Chad Brown barn was fourth. Got to the front, made that move, got to the front, and just got a little bit tired late, and as the favorite to be beaten. And but Ron, I think this is one of the horses you can't, it's difficult to look past in here. Yeah, and the connections alone. Chad Brown, he's pretty good with second start off that 45 to 180 layoff. I used the 7 strike him down and the 2 flash trading on my ticket, which you used also. And want to note that the number 13 will get in today and run. So when you're doing your handicapping, make sure you look at those also elevators that get into the race. So a lot of competitive races here today. And for the Rainbow Six, as we said, Ron, we're going to have to start off the Rainbow Six. We're going to have to use several in there, and pretty competitive races. So great weekend. And betting wise, we have that Rainbow Six with that guarantee. $150,000, the pick 550,000, the late pick for 100,000. We got a special day of racing tomorrow, and it's just been a fantastic weekend so far. And what a great place to come out and get a little sun and bet some horses. Yeah, it sure is. So Ron and I will be back the rest of the afternoon. Larry Colmus will be on in just a few moments to give you all your changes and updates. And we will send you off with a look back at yesterday's Sunshine Millions Sprint, won by Weekend Hideaway, and the Distaff, which was won by Dame Dorothy. Good luck, folks, and stick around.
Half mile, but here's Weekend Hideaway on the outside, and Weekend Hideaway takes the lead. Grand Shores is down at the rail, and Puntruski's on the far outside, but it's Weekend Hideaway. Weekend Hideaway and Javier Castellano running away to victory over Grand Shores. Dame Dorothy has taken the lead at the top of the stretch. Opens up by 2. Wildcat Lily is next. Swingers Party fluttered by. Put a foot on the inside. Sheer Drama far outside. And toasting in behind horses, but it's Dame Dorothy. Dame Dorothy and Edgar Prado to win the Sunshine Millions Distaff.
point of entry would not be denied.
And they're into the stretch.
Point of entry's taken the lead.
Point of entry, a 2-length lead.
It's